Hi, this is Anthony Godino with a review of CamStudio version 2.7. It's free to use and even for commercial purposes. For those of you who are new to CamStudio, CamStudio is a screen capture recorder which can be used to create video tutorials, just like this one. In fact, I'm using version 2.0 of CamStudio to record this specific video. So I've been using CamStudio since 2009, but like I said, the older version 2.0. It's worked really well for me, and I've decided to try the new version 2.7. In this video, I will walk you through the various features of CamStudio version 2.7. Alright, so first off, in order to download CamStudio, you'd have to visit the camstudio.org website, and if you scroll down, you will see this download section and this download button. I've had no issues in terms of downloading the files, but I know some people have had sometimes some issues with the download because what CamStudio does is, because it's a free software, they use third-party ads. And sometimes they do try and check to make sure that they're safe. But when I tried to download version 2.7 from this website, Norton 360 basically alerted me of a Trojan ADH.2, and so I reported it to CamStudio. They will take a look at it. This is not a virus per se. It's more of a black hat way of revenue generating through ads. But like I said, I've reported it. And in the meantime, I was able to get this download through this website. And it is safe to download it from this website. As far as I know, I downloaded it, like I said, just yesterday. And this is the website. That's the download button. And I will leave a link of that website in the description section of this YouTube video. So basically, you download the file, you will get a message, a dialog box like this. You basically save it, and then I'm using Firefox, so in my download sections, it's going to show you, and then you run the file, and then just follow the steps. And then Norton 360 basically confirmed that it was a safe download, as you can see here. So anyway, I downloaded the file and it's all working okay. So now let's take a quick look at CamStudio version 2.7, and I'll walk you through some of the key features. So first off, let's cover these icons right here. Okay, so that's the record button. So whenever you once you open the application, you want to start recording the video, you would hit the record button and it'll start recording. If you can pause the video using this button right here, and then you can stop the video. Once you stop the video, it'll ask you to name the file, or if it's automatically set up, then it'll just generate an automatic name. We will get into that in a moment, but those three buttons basically: record, pause, and stop. This one right here is called the toggle view, and if I click this, you will see this section disappear, and then if I click it again, the menu section disappears. So it basically just shrinks it, and if you click it again, it's back to its default. This one right here are basically screen annotations. I'm not going to get into that, but screen annotations are similar to what you see on YouTube and stuff. I don't use this much, so I will not cover this in this video here. The next button right here is the SWF or AVI. It's a toggle again, and it's basically to do with the recording file type. I generally use or record in AVI because it's much easier. That's at least my experience. But if you toggle it, as you can see, you'll say record to SWF, which is really Flash. So there are two options: Flash and AVI. And like I said, I stick to AVI. So those are the icons here. Now let's take a look at the menus. The file menus is similar to what I just showed you: record, pause, stop, and then exit the CamStudio. and then of course the region. It allows you to record in several sort of sections of your screen. So region, basically, if you want to record a specific section of your screen, you can use region or fixed region. The difference is region, it'll give you sort of a little box where you just highlight the left top and then sort of drag and drop it, and so for example you can just record a little square or rectangle. Fixed region is basically, it allows you to actually enter the width and the height. As you can see here, I've put in 1280 by 720, which is basically HD quality 720p. If you want 1080p, obviously you'd have to change that to 920 by 1080, but I don't think it allows me to do that in this case here. But 1280 by 720 is what we're working on YouTube. These sections right here I do not use. It's more to do with the panning, and panning is again to do with recording in fixed regions. So for example, if you record it just in this rectangle here, when you move your mouse, it'll actually move the screen along with your mouse. I don't particularly use that that feature, so I'll probably create a separate video to show you what that means. But that's what the regions are, regions and fixed regions. Window is basically, if you click window, it'll ask you which window you want to record. And full screen is what I'm using right now. It basically records the full screen, and the dimensions for full screen, I believe, are 1366 by 768. Alright, so let's move on. Options. Options. There are quite a few of section that I'm going to cover here, and I'll try and keep it as brief as possible. So video options, first of all, is this section right here is the compressor. These are the default ones. I've used Cinepack Kodak, and what the compressors really do, or Kodaks do, is basically if you're trying to record a file and it goes beyond, let's just say 15-20 minutes, the file size is huge. So what the compressors do, it basically compresses the file as zip. It's like a zip sort of feature where it zips the big file into a much smaller size. Okay, the default is set to Microsoft. Like I said, I've used Cinepack. My videos are mostly not more than 10 minutes, maximum 15 minutes. Hopefully this one's not going to be too long, but I've used Cinepack. From my experience and reading various blogs and stuff, and other people who are using CamStudio, they recommend using a codec called Xvid, and I think that's a very popular one, mainly because there's one gentleman who records even like 1 hour, 2 hour videos, and Xvid allows him to really condense the files quite a bit. So anyway, lest I digress, this is what the compressors are. You can choose whichever you want to, and then this quality slider here is really for Microsoft. So if you're using Microsoft, yes, probably you can configure it. So if you click configure, it's basically the quality of the compressor. The higher, the better quality. So the next thing is this section right here, which is to do with the frames. As you can see, these are the defaults. Currently, the set keyframes is set to every 100. I've gone up to even 200, and this slider right down here basically changes these two. The default is 50 to 20, and you can change this manually, but the thing is, if you do change it manually, make sure that when you multiply the capture frames as times the playback rate, it has always got to be 1,000. So in this case, 50 times 20 is 1,000, and if you see, if I slide this, it's going to change 40 to 25, again 1,000. So the higher you go, you get a better or a smoother action. If you go below here, it's much slower. If you're recording games and stuff, you probably want to go with something much higher. even as high as 200 frames per second. But of course, the higher the frames per second, the bigger the file size. So I basically use mostly 25 to 40, and sometimes I keep this to 200. If you want to change this specific um, from 100 to 200, you just uncheck this box and then change it. I would really not suggest that you make adjustments, but if you do make adjustments manually, make sure that, for example, especially this one right here, works out to 1,000. Otherwise, your video and audio is going to be out of sync. Alright, so let's move on. So that's pretty much in terms of the video options. Cancel out. And cursor options. Cursor options, as you can see right now, I'm using my cursor. You can see the cursor, plus you've got this little yellow highlight, right? So this section right here, you can either hide the cursor or you can show the cursor. I generally do keep my cursor visible, and you can use different types of cursors, okay, in here. You can even, if you've got your own cursor, you can upload it from your file. Okay, so I use the actual cursor, which is this one right here. And this section down here, as I said, helps you highlight the cursor. You can increase the size of this highlight. You can change the circles to ellipse to square or rectangle, and you can also change the color. And this section right down below here is basically, it changes the color of your left and right mouse button. So for example, if you click the left button, it's going to show red, and if you click the right button, it's going to show blue. I don't particularly use that. I just use a normal cursor and highlight the cursor in yellow. So that's that. Audio options. It allows you to record obviously audio, or do not record audio at all. Before I get into those audio options, the default is set to do not record audio. So make sure that for this purpose, I'm just going to focus on record audio from microphone. I'm currently using a Logitech headset, which has got a mic, and so I basically set it to record audio from microphone. You can record from audio from speakers if you, for example, if you're recording a game. But the thing is, I don't think this really works on CamStudio. Is not the best for recording games with the audio from speakers, but on some computers it does work. I think Fraps is one good application that you can use if your main focus is recording video games. But I'm not going to focus on that. There'll probably be a separate video on how to do that. You can sort of customize the settings to record, or to enable CamStudio to record from speakers. So make sure that this is checked, record audio from microphone. And in this section right here, the audio options for microphone, as you can see here, there are a few options. As I said, I'm using a microphone, Logitech USB headset, and whatever you got plugged in, it's going to show in here. The recording format, this has worked pretty well, the default for me, but I've heard some individuals who have it set to 44.1 kilohertz, stereo 16-bit. Obviously the file size would be higher for that, but this one has worked pretty good for me because most of my videos are tutorial based. And PCM is one that again, I just leave it at this default. You do not need to use check this, use MCR recording if you're using PCM. And I do not want to get too technical here, but if you're using PCM, it's basically going to record the same settings that you set for your computer. And even this, you can just leave it unchecked. Okay. So moving on, auto pan. You remember I spoke about the region. If you're recording in a fixed region or region, it allows you to auto pan. And this is where you would sort of enable auto pan. If you click that, you've enabled it. I do not particularly use auto pan, so I leave it unchecked. And then of course, auto pan speed. This is where you'd 20 is the default. You probably want to keep it to like probably 70 or something. But you don't not want to make it like 100, because when you move it's going to be too fast and probably won't be good for your readers or your viewers. But that's where you change the auto pan. Automatically stop recording. This is a new feature that they've included in version 2.7. If you do want to set a time to stop recording, you can do this here. I do not use this feature because again, I'm just recording straight videos. Program options. Now, what I generally do is these are the default settings, and make sure that these two are kept checked. I also check this one right here, minimize program on start recording. And what it basically does is, as soon as you click this button, it minimizes the this little CamStudio application thing, and it minimizes. The only thing is, once you minimize it, it's not going to appear here. It's going to go to your system tray. Okay, so make sure that you understand that, because in some cases I've seen people who have done that, and then they realize that CamStudio is not open, and they reopen it without knowing that it's actually in the system tray. Because if you reopen CamStudio when it's running, it's going to create a problem. So make sure that if you do set it to minimize, make sure that you're going to have to look at it in the system tray. And program options, hide flashing rectangle during recording. This is another thing that I keep checked. If it's unchecked, it's basically when you're recording for regions. If you do have this unchecked, then it'll actually give you a full flashing sort of a box, a flashing box, and it's basically to show you, okay, this region is being recorded, so you can actually move it. I'll probably create a separate video to show what that means, but I mean, what I do is I just keep this hide flashing rectangle recording checked, because I do not want that flashing. And in most cases, like I said, I record using full screen, so I do not use that feature. Moving on, play AVI file when recording stops. This one right here, if you want to, you can just set it to your own system, use system default player. But what this simply means is, once the recording stops, it'll automatically start playing your video using the CamStudio Player 2.0. It's currently, that's a default one, but I mean, you can change it to your default. For example, if you use your own Windows Media Player, then you can just check this box here, or that option. Directory for recording. Now this is another new feature that they've included in version 2.7, and your files get saved in the application installed directly. So basically, where CamStudio is installed, that's where it's going to save your recording. In some cases, it may be easier to just set up your own specific directory. That way, you know where it's being saved. The other thing is recording priority. This you can just leave as default here. Name of AVI file. Now make sure that this is checked, because what happens is, I've seen many people saying, oh, I recorded my video and I cannot find the file. So if you have this checked, it'll ask you the name. As soon as the recording stops, it's going to ask you the name of the file. That way you can what the name that you've given the file, and you can also save it in a specific folder, so your file does not get lost. Keyboard shortcuts, I'm not going to cover that, but I mean, if you do want to create shortcuts, you can do that here. So under options, program options. So that's pretty much it, what I've covered on here. And record. Yeah, make sure that these two default options are kept checked. And if you do record in SWF, which is Flash, make sure that this one is checked as well. I do not record in Flash format. Like I said, I use AVI. I'm not going to cover tools and effects. Those are more of the advanced features. Again, like I talked about, the screen and video annotations, you can include that. and view is the same as I showed you, normal, compact, button view, which is this one right here. Okay, so that's pretty much it in terms of CamStudio version 2.7 and how to how to use it. I will probably create shorter videos for specific things, and if you do have any questions, and you've got any questions with regards to the framing or the frames capturing frames per second, and the settings, especially under the video options, feel free to ask. The best thing to do is basically try several videos and try several settings to make sure what works best for you. Like I said, for me, 40 by 25 has worked pretty good. I've even recorded ones with like even 2 and 500. This is of course a bigger file. If you're creating or recording webinars, then you probably want to go something with something like this, 200 by 5, or even lower. But it all, again, like I said, it all depends on what you're doing. The other thing is, make sure that you use a codec, because if you're creating, if you're especially uploading to YouTube and stuff, the smaller the size, the better. Plus, CamStudio has got a limit of 2 gigabytes size in terms of the file size. So having a codec is definitely useful. I think that's pretty much it. Let me wrap it up, and if you've got any questions, like I said, feel free to leave them in the comment section. And if you found this video useful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thanks for watching.